ahead, Bashaar, take it away. Welcome to another episode number 25 of the Broadcast Podcast.
Yes, sir.
As always, I have with me
Nazar.
and today is a very special episode because we're going to see two epic worlds of podcasts colliding.
Yes.
We have with us from Karachi joining us, Kazi Akber from Kahega Kazi.
How are you guys doing, man? Assalamu alaikum.
We're doing great, man. We're very excited to have you on, and I'm very excited to see where this conversation goes today.
Kazi bhai, I'm going to start off with a very simple question. It's an easy one. How does it feel like to be the Joe Rogan of Pakistan?
Dude, I'm nowhere close to it. But it's. I take that as the highest form of compliment one could give me, besides telling me that I'm 6 foot when I'm not. I'm 5'11", right? If someone's like, "Oh, 6 foot," I'm like, "That's very nice of you."
We always round up.
Yeah, you have to. You do. Yet, dekho, I am absolutely inspired by Joe Rogan, but I am absolutely unworthy of that comparison because of how limited my impact has been. The goal was always, Joe bhai ko humne dekha. I'm Joe bhai hain. I'm on first name basis. Aapko to zahir hai.
Mentor Joe, yeah.
Joe bhai ko dekha humne, and what was truly beautiful about this person was, it wasn't so much that I wanted to know what the guest was saying, or who the guest was most of the time. Ab to khair Matthew McConaughey वगैरह भी आ रहे हैं, लेकिन when I started listening to him in like 2014, I just trusted him. So I was like, yeah, dekho, theek hai, he might have his own vested interests, or he might be biased or something. हाँ, जी, बिल्कुल. But he'll be critical enough for me to get what the other person's saying. And that's proven true over the years, because he's had people from the left, people from the right, people down the middle, all sorts of people. People who think the earth is flat. I mean, all over the place. Na?
Yeah.
So my hope was always this, because hum Pakistan mein, not just Karachi, generally Pakistan mein, we are so used to someone else chewing our food for us.
Yeah.
And that's an analogy that I don't use happily. That's just what it is. कि हम बोलते हैं कि यार बिल्कुल basic मुद्दे पे आ जाओ. हजरत मुद्दा होता ही नहीं है.
जी.
You know what I mean? Like if it's a problem for me, it might not even be a problem for my brother who lives next to me. Alhamdulillah, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, I am a firm believer in the long form. And
for sure.
Yeah, and then the other reason why people make the analogy is because I'm bald, and to them I say, fuck you. This shit will catch up with you guys. I'm telling you now.
It definitely will. But my why I feel like you're synonymous with Joe Rogan has more to do with your content and the way that you conduct your long form interviews. Like the first time I saw your podcast was with Irfan Bhai. He was also a guest on our show. So we have this connection with Irfan Bhai. That's like, he was one of our first big stars. And I loved hearing him talk. And obviously I clicked on that podcast for Irfan Bhai, but I left being a fan of your stuff. Because I was like, the questions that Kazi Bhai was asking, that the answers he got from Irfan Bhai was exactly what I wanted to see. And uske baad maine Bashaar ko bola, bro, we gotta get Kazi bhai. And then the more that I learned about you, the more we realized that we have a Venn diagram of things that are a lot more common. Like you being a UofT alumni, Bashaar being a UofT alumni, that all plays a part into our, larger scheme of things, larger story. How does it feel to once be a Toronto Manz and then now live in Karachi?
Yeah, it feels beautiful. So I left Karachi in 2012, towards the end of 2012. I went to Malaysia.
That's first. Exactly when we came to Canada.
Yeah, we might have been on the same plane. No, 1 minute. I was going to Malaysia.
Yeah, so we were coming here
on the same plane. Yeah, so I went to Malaysia, lived in Malaysia for 2 years, not knowing what the fuck I was going to do.
Yeah.
Wahan pe I picked up this, but there's never been any pressure from my mom and dad to do anything classic, anything basic. Basic नहीं बोल रहा हूँ मैं इस चीज को. हाँ, basic है, चलो कर लो जो करना है. Accounting, doctorate, there was never any pressure into कि भाई, be the quintessential brown man.
Yeah.
So I picked the first thing I picked, with all due respect. आप लोग पता नहीं. Yeah, आप लोग पता नहीं दोनों डॉक्टर हो नहीं हो. इस पॉडकास्ट को यहाँ बंद करते हैं.
I was in engineering for like 5 minutes and I had to drop out. I was like, I can't deal with the dad.
That's it, dude. Yeah, you know what? Like, that's a difficult conversation. But Behral, to answer your question, I picked up post-colonial / diasporic literature ke 2 saal wahan pe.
Oh wow.
Right? So you and I are brothers in that Pakistanis from Karachi, then in Toronto, but we are also brothers, and this is a much larger family, a much bigger Venn diagram of those who home in diaspora.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a beautiful fucking thing. I will never be someone who was just from Karachi. I'm not that person who left. Neither are you guys, right?
No way. No way.
There is something in me now that belongs to Kuala Lumpur, and there's something, a large part of me now belongs to Toronto.
Yes.
That city will just have a part of me, right?
Yes. That's true.
It feels brilliant. The only problem is कि हमारे experiences इतने unique होंगे कि कोई भी classic मिजाज का बंदा, कोई भी old school बंदा will never appreciate it. They'll be like, bhai, you know, and we will suffer more existential angst because we will look for a home that no longer exists. Yes. We will look for places. You guys and me, we were bound by this terrible search to now look for a home. Toronto isn't the Toronto I left. I left it, right? Because I left Toronto 3 years ago or 2 years ago. Sorry. And Karachi isn't the same either. And I'm pretty sure Kuala Lumpur isn't what I remember it to be.
Yeah.
So that's how it feels. Feels brilliant, feels beautiful, but at the same time, there is...
What you're talking about, like this sense of home, I've attached it more with people in my life. So for instance, like my only brother, my parents. So wherever they are, I consider myself being at home with them, at peace in a way. Because you're completely right. Like when I went back to Karachi after 4 years, it wasn't the same. And I have this really sense of connection with where I am in Toronto right now. So I don't know if that will change ever. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, देखो, change to I don't know if it will or it won't, but I also relate educating myself with traveling, right? So because the thing is, you unanchor yourself, and once you unanchor yourself, that's when you can pick stuff up and learn.
Yeah.
So ज़्यादातर जो पढ़ाई होती है, it is a transitory experience.
Yes.
And from that standpoint as well, I feel that I've learned quite a bit. I've always been an old soul, and it's always pissed my dad off. My dad's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, Dad, you know, we all just gotta get along. You know, we just need peace in this world. You know, I've seen too much. I'm like, "You've seen what?" My dad's old school, right? He's like, he has the fuck off mustache. He's Sindhi, big mustache,
of course,
big dude. Super old school, mashallah, say, and robust as the men from his time are.
Of course.
So he's just like, get out of here with this shit.
Kazi, you've touched on a very interesting point, saying that studying and acquiring education is a transitory state, right? What do you feel? How do you feel about the higher education system? In personally speaking, being in university right now in Toronto, I feel like, I don't know if you have the same experience because you both are UofT alumni. You've been from an Ivy League school. I feel like higher studies, post-secondary studies in this day and age has become a scam. I want to know both of your thoughts on this. Because I first, Kazi, you go first. Do you feel like there is value in post-secondary education anymore? Because aapne jo degree ki hai, aapne jo skills hasil ki hai, you're applying them in a very non-conventional way. Long-form podcasting. This didn't exist 5 years ago when you started school in 2012, right? So does it even make sense anymore? Is it applicable to people like us who venture out and do other things?
Yeah, देखो मेरी बात सुनो. From what बात सुनो जैसे आप लोग वैसे नहीं सुन रहे थे. It's fucking colloquialisms. But I think that's a very good question, and I resonate to a large degree what at least you feel about the system. कि even the way आप याद करो, enrollment cart होती थी हमारी, which is the same. I mean, I don't know if I'm Amazon or I'm a fucking the UofT Acorn होता था. I don't know. Like, ये enrollment cart है, इसके सिर्फ $800. नहीं, मैं पढ़ूंगा क्या उसमें? वो तो पता पड़ ही जाएगा. पहले पैसे तो दो.
It's very transactional. You know? It's very transactional. And the best way to see this is pandemic mein, my entire university education right now is literally a YouTube tutorial.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm paying freaking $7.5, $8 grand for it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And this is
It
the best
doesn't
example of it being unworthy for me. Like I don't understand it. Yes, there is societal pressures. Abba mujhe ghar se nikal denga ki degree nahi aayegi. That makes sense to me, but
yeah.
I don't see value in it.
So yeah, देखो, another part of my education has always been the martial arts.
Yes.
So inconsistently, I've been training throughout my life. I picked up Muay Thai first, then I did quite a bit of jiu-jitsu. So in the middle somewhere, I met this guy who had a PhD in communications in Malaysia, and he was a black belt in an Australian martial arts called least harm, right? Just my headbutts and knees and everything. This guy just comes, walks up to me. I'm fat right now, but I was 77 kilos, which is 170 something pounds, right? And he walks up to me, big guy, 6'4", 250 pounds. He's just like, I'm going to spar with you. I'm like, the fuck you are. You're going to spar with me, right? But no, you're not, buddy. But he said this. He's like, Dekho, education will always happen in spite of the system, not because of it. So I understand how you feel. But I would encourage कि जो भी whoever's privileged enough, blessed enough, and I don't use these words lightly, whoever's privileged enough, blessed enough to be at school, you should stay at school, right?
Yeah.
Whoever is taking out a loan to go to school, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't take out a loan to pursue an arts degree, right?
Yeah.
That's the only reason. My friends would pick on me, right? They'd be like, writing and philosophy, what the fuck are you going to do? I'm like, listen, what I'm not going to do is be in debt, right? So you guys better hope. You guys are trying to become doctors, right? You guys better hope you get employed, because what are you going to do? And yet, dekho, I can't thank my parents enough, alhamdulillah, and Allah ka karam hai zahir hai, that I could be boastful like that. Like, I'm not trivializing my privilege. I'm absolutely not doing that. Education, behral, will happen in spite of the system. Right? But if you cannot, and there are people, simply because you can pay for it right now does not mean you can afford it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like how I could eat another beef burger right now, but I already had 4. I can't afford it. You know what I mean? Like I could eat it. You better believe I'm going to eat it. But like,
or that new iPhone 12.
Oh my God.
Or that new iPhone 12, right?
Yeah.
So instant gratification, commodification of happiness, these are things that come to mind. And Toronto mein ho, Karachi mein ho, it's more or less the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, coming back to it, ek zamana tha, badi prestige thi associated with these degrees. Abhi bhi, you can buy into Ivy League schools, you can do all that. So it is a sham, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Having said that, if you can afford it, you're going to learn things, right?
Yeah.
Most of the education I received was, mere to teachers kafi achhe.
You can't do anything about it.
Yeah, no, nothing at all. Fucking, no, I can't.
It's okay.
Where were we?
You were talking about how university may be a scam, but if you can afford it, you should do it.
That's it. That's the long and short of it. Ki agar aap afford kar sakte ho. And I did go into some depth about what affording it actually entails or implies. Like don't go, don't accrue a debt. Don't owe money as soon as you come out, especially not for a writing degree. Right? Maine writing degree ki hui hai. Don't do it, right? Don't do it. Don't fucking do it. It's stupid. That's stupid, right? But with all due respect to everyone who's doing it, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but it's stupid. You're stupid.
One of the biggest paddas in my family was Kazi bhai, that I wanted to pursue writing as a profession. Like I write, I have a poetry book out. I write. No, I mean like as a profession in the sense that I wanted to study. I wanted to go to school for it. I got into Ryerson for journalism, and mera like bahut bada clash hua tha about this, because my dad wanted me to have like real life skills. He was like, engineering karo, business karo, something that you can fall back upon. Be a STEM major. That's all. That's the only language my dad understands. Journalism, yeah, Dr. Shahid Masood banoge. Like,
dude, hey man, like if you just knew how much he makes, that guy, right?
My dad loves it. My dad loves it. I was like, Dad, that's all you watch. What's wrong with me being Shahid Masood? Like, I would love to do that. But we were at odds at it, and we hadn't reached the middle ground. The middle ground was, pursuing a marketing degree. I do write on the side. I still write for the Tribune, Dawn, Toronto ke kuch art, literary magazines and stuff like that. But the dream of me having a writing degree, like Stephen King, like a Hemingway, like a Fitzgerald, वो दब गई है. Do you think if I do, because this is, I guess now it's coming into more like counseling. You're being my counselor now. If I do after my marketing degree pursue a writing degree, is there value in that? Because
there is. Yeah, देखो writing. जी. So if you went to, so the writing degree I did was from University of Toronto Mississauga. If you want to go there, beautiful instructors, brilliant.
Nobody says UTM.
You did not need to say that.
UofT Kazi bhai.
Just say, of course, dude. Funny aside, right? So I go to. No, don't. Like, fuck them. But I went to a dawat in Oakville, right?
Yeah.
Family dawati.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin had recently been married to this wonderful lady, and so we get to talking. She's like, "Oh, you go to UofT? I go to UofT." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Do you know such and such building?" I'm like, "No, Mississauga."
Yeah.
That's not UofT.
See, I go to the Scarborough campus, and I feel the same way. Because people who go to downtown, they're like, "Oh no, you're not worthy."
Yeah, by classes, a proper Marxist regime chal rahi hai. Like, if you don't go to UofT St. George, you should not call yourself a UofT alumni. And I feel like that's so stupid.
It's beyond stupid. It's beyond stupid. But sorry, that's completely tangential. Lekin aapko,
totally fine.
If you, again, like I said, if you can afford it, I think you should go for it. I think there's great benefit क्योंकि कुछ चीजें होती हैं वो आप कर रहे होते हो वैसे भी अपनी writing में, but a degree formalizes some of them. And formalization में होता क्या है कि you develop categories, right? So you have more a greater retinue in your proverbial satchel. Like those writers के satchel होते हैं ना, दाढ़ी बड़ी होती है, and they smoke a pipe always.
Yeah. Your quintessential Hemingway image.
It's just बिल्कुल जाहिर है और मतलब क्या करोगे आप तो या शायद मसूद बन जाओ लेकिन उसके अलावा
there is no other way.
No, तो उसके अलावा तो क्या हुआ कि you will pick stuff up and then also talking to other people because what you don't want to feel like is that you're crazy for dreaming.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not.
No, for sure.
You're not crazy for dreaming. आपके और आपके वालिद साहब के बीच में जो basic issue है ना it stems from what it meant for them to work hard, their generation, versus what it means for us. वो लोग ये बोलते थे, उनको ये समझ आता था कि अपने आप को humble करो and through your grit and your toughness contribute to a group that will over time pay you.
Yes.
Right? So forget passion, forget dreams. You must get paid based off hard work. You must get paid based off literally trading your time for money, doing something that whether you like or not is inconsequential.
Yeah.
हमारी जो generation है, because of the advent of the digital medias and so on and so forth, हम ये सोचते हैं कि भाई देखो, I'm going to be so good at what I do, I'm going to get paid for it.
Yes.
You see the inherent hubris that someone like your dad must feel. Yaar, abhi, tu kya? You're going to do what? You're going to pursue. You think it's you and Stephen King? Bitch. You know what I mean? So
that was the biggest thing that it took me such a long time to understand that, Kazi bhai. Just that dimension. Like my brother, he's younger than me, but he used to be in the middle of those fights all the time. Like when me and my dad were trying to explain to each other.
Being a mediator.
Yeah, like he's trying to explain to me his side. Or मैं as a young angsty teen would not understand. I'm like, क्या अब्बा अब 1902 की जो है mentality मुझ पे झाड़ रहे हैं, and I couldn't explain my point to him because I was like, Dad, this is how the modern world works. This is my dream. Look at Irfan bhai. Look at all these people who are actually going out and achieving what they want to do, and let me do what I want to do. And it took a long time. There was friction. But I feel like now we're at a good place where my dad understands. He's seen after my poetry book came out, it did well, and he was the one boasting with it from his friends, with his friends. That's when he was like, "Nee, isme rakha hai, london mein kuch like hai."
Is this podcasting something you do on the side, or do you have a day job? What's going on here?
So, buddy, I had a day job. I had a regular 9 to 7, not 9 to 5 because it's never 9 to 5, right? So 9 to 7, proper, and I did that for 3 years. And 3 साल जैसे मैंने वो job शुरू किया था, I was like, I'm going to save up and then I'm going to do a podcast. And then I never got around to doing that podcast. For 3 years, I just, dreamt and I pondered and I feared for whatever might happen if I did do it.
Yep.
And then 3 साल के बाद जब मेरी बस होने लगी, तो मैंने अपनी जॉब से माजरत की. And with respect, I was like, देखो, there's nothing, it's not you, it's me. And I know that's the oldest breakup line in the world, but that's what it is, right? It's
it
not,
always works though, right?
The system clearly works because you guys, the system clearly works because you guys are making bank, right? I see your grand cruisers and all these things, right? Like yeah, it's good. But मैं नहीं चल सक रहा हूँ, तो मैं माजरत करता हूँ. उस पे बहुत सारे बड़ों ने बोला, you're being egotistical and all those things, to which I was like, देखिए, Mr. Bade of my family, you have worked extremely hard for me to have this arrogance. It is on your shoulders that I stand. It is on your hard work that I make this claim कि जितनी मजबूरी आपको थी उतनी मुझे नहीं है.
Yes.
तो आप अपनी मेहनत पे पानी ना फेरें. Do you know what I mean?
Very, very well said. I will use that in the future, just by the way.
Dude, it's the fucking truth, right? Like, well, what do you want me? I say something profound and I go, fuck, shit, dude. But what I'm saying,
it's the humility in you, Kazi, that brings you back down. जैसे आप cloud 9 पे soar करने वाले होते हैं, you just come back down.
नहीं, देखो मेरी बात सुनो. 2 चीजें. एक तो ये कि everything good comes from Allah and everything bad is stuff that I've sent forward myself. Malcolm X quoted this in his autobiography, लेकिन उससे पहले ये कुरान शरीफ में, right? तो एक वो चीज और दूसरी चीज ये है कि आयतुल कुर्सी हम सब पढ़ते हैं. आयतुल कुर्सी में it is said that and Allah Ta'ala speaks to us and he's like, I am the Lord of the infinite throne.
Yes.
Right? Infinite for us finite beings, we cannot contemplate the nature of infinity, but we do understand that whatever you guys want and whatever I want is not mutually exclusive. It can't be because he's infinite. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So ये सारी बातें बताई मैंने अपने बड़ों को और बोला कि
I love that you just brought up religion, because I feel like not only in the Western media, podcast media, whatever you want to talk about, but even in हमारे like Pakistan में, people are hesitant to talk about religion now. जो भी उनका faith हो, be it Sunni, Shia, XYZ, whatever, right? They're hesitant to bring up faith. They're hesitant to talk about the Quran or the Holy Prophet or their teachings. Why is that? Why have I seen so much of reluctance about that?
Yeah, देखो, अगर Western media की हम बात करेंगे तो it's obvious why, right? Because पहली बात तो to be orthodox is, or to be conventional is frowned upon, right? So you have to be left-leaning, and there's a clique, right? There's a clique, there's an in-group, you have to be left-leaning, you should be okay with everything, and aap jaake jo hai phir, and then you'll be part of the group. And if you don't, if you mind vulgarity or whatever, if there's some principle, some lines you won't cross, तो बड़ी जो है बॉदरेशन होती है लोगों को. तो उस पे आप what are you going to do? इधर पाकिस्तान में मुझे ये फील होता है कि it's actually worse than in the West, because here people are actually desperate to seem leftist, and by desperate I mean, dude, they're on their fucking knees. America, Canada, fucking Europe, please, we're so white. Well, you're white, but not quite, right? Like, you know what I mean? You're only going to be so white.
Oh my God.
You can't, like the whitest thing about me is the white in my beard. Like, well, what are you going to do, right? It is what it is. But would you aggressive, hyper leftist जो मिजाज के लोग होते हैं, they're bothered by this कि यार मतलब क्या हर चीज में दीन आना चाहिए भाई, मतलब अब एक बंदा ला रहा है तो ला रहा है.
The best example of synergy between those two is, I think, I don't know if I'm pretty sure you do. Do you watch any of Stephen Colbert stuff? Because he's very proudly Catholic, and he brings his faith into a lot of his conversations, and I feel like he enlightens it. Like if he talks to someone who's agnostic, like Bill Maher, right? Someone like Ricky Gervais, or if he brings it up even with like an icon like Bruce Springsteen, if I feel like conversation shifts and there's gravity in what he's saying. And I feel like that's what's missing in our podcast.
Yes.
Like, I was so happy that you brought that up because I felt like I learned something and then it brought weight to what you were saying.
Yeah, dekho, in philosophy, na, you learn about the many different modes of argumentation.
Yeah.
ज़्यादातर जो arguments present की जाती हैं, a basic argument is premise, therefore conclusion.
Yeah.
Right? That's a basic syntax, a basic argument. उसके बाद क्या होता है कि there are philosophical fallacies, right?
Yes.
The biggest philosophical fallacy क्या बोल रहा है भाई? You have used 50%, कोई मसला ही नहीं है भाई, मसला ही है. तो आप जो है the number one fallacy is if I'm making the argument, I'll make an argument from authority.
Yeah.
Boys, you guys should do this because I'm saying it.
Yes.
Right? That's problematic. Why? Because I'm not the ultimate authority.
Yep.
And the flip side to that is an ad hominem attack, which is an attack to the person. So I go, भाई अपने बाल देखें, अपनी टोपी देखिए, तुम लोग podcasting करोगे.
Yeah.
ठीक है भाई, podcasting पे तो हम गुफ्तगू कर सकते हैं, but बालों और टोपियों से क्या लेना देना इस चीज का?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
The argument from authority, which we so cling to, is actually the form of argumentation that God uses.
Yes.
Right? It's the proper first mode of argumentation. And he's the creator of existence, so he gets to use it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what he
have
does.
to do it. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So उसमें ये है कि देखो question करने में issue नहीं है, but with people like Stephen Colbert, their oratory is so powerful and so developed.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had the chance to watch my podcast with Jibran Nazar.
I was
right?
watching yesterday.
Yeah, it was on the TV actually.
हाँ, तो अगर आप उसको सिर्फ देखोगे ना, you will see that there are levels to just speaking.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He could be talking about fucking Shoaib Akhtar is not one of the best fast bowlers in the world.
Yeah,
he could be saying, yeah, exactly. So am I, right? He could be saying that, but it's just how he controls the space and controls the context. So, एक तो Stephen
he is a beautiful orator. Jibran
Yes.
के बारे में, great orator. Agree or disagree with his politics. The way he presents his ideas, it's beautiful.
Exactly, right? And Stephen Colbert is exactly like that. He's just one of the masters of speaking.
Yep.
So when you have someone like that, right, philosophical inquiry into whatever you believe then becomes easy.
Yeah.
Because he's like, यार देखो क्या मसला क्या है यार वो जो है ना, what's the problem of evil is the classic case they make against religion. They're like, well, why does evil exist?
Yeah.
Right? Well, there are arguments against it, but if this was an antagonistic space, my oratory would fail me. It's not practiced, it's not polished, right? If you start going, Kazi bhai, how could you say this when there are people dying all over the world? Does God exist or not? Well, if he does, why are people dying all over the world?
Yeah, why are people suffering?
If this was an antagonistic space, like my oratory would fail me. It'd be like, yaar, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. Go ahead.
Hello?
So my oratory would fail me.
Yes.
With people like Stephen Colbert or in the desi context, people like Jibran Nazar,
yeah,
that's not an issue.
Yeah.
That's never going to be an issue. So एक वो बात और उसके ऊपर से जाहिर है it adds depth to any conversation. It's the truth, dude. You know what I mean? Like
Definitely.
Science is 99.9%. This is 100%. This is the truth, right? Like or so the person understands it, and as long as he can convince you, this is the truth, right? So मैं समझता हूँ कि
I was just going to talk about so living in Karachi, being in Pakistan. There's this huge culture of a lack of patience. There's a meme culture going on. People want to laugh in 2 minutes. People don't want to watch the news. They want to watch the headlines. So, in the context of that, how have you found these, on average, hour-long or over an hour-long podcast resonate with people? Have people gotten used to the fact that we have to sit down and actually listen and consume and think about these podcasts for so long? Does the duration have any impact, or have people gotten immune to the fact of that?
Yeah, could you repeat that question one more time? I'm so sorry, this internet keeps cutting out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, but Kazi bhai, you're stuck at a very unflattering.
Okay, you're back.
Okay, you're back.
अब ठीक है?
Yeah.
अब ठीक
You're
है?
back. Yeah, we'll split it out. Don't worry about it.
No, what I was trying to say was that
Okay.
there's this general lack of patience within Pakistanis, and you living in Karachi and being in Pakistan. Like, for instance, there's a big meme culture going on.
TikTok
People want to laugh in 10 seconds, 2 minutes. People don't want to watch the news. They want to watch the headlines, 9 baje, just to get a whole roundup. So there's this general lack of patience. And then in the context of that, having podcasts that are on average over an hour long, have you found that people are kind of getting immune to it? They're getting used to it. They're sitting down and thinking about it.
Yeah, I would hope they are. So like that's one of the hopes on which my podcast and everything else is predicated upon, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
issue ye hai ki people erroneously think that they don't have time. अच्छा, इसमें 2-3 बड़े मसले हैं ना. एक तो प्रॉपर स्टडी कंडक्ट की गई थी कि the effect of poverty, of dearth, of financial instability, or अगर मैस्लो का वो जो ट्रायंगल आप लोगों ने पढ़ा हुआ हो, security,
hierarchy of needs, yeah.
Exactly. So if you're not on a high enough level of that hierarchy, your cognitive function declines, and it declines proper. तो मिसाल उनने ये स्टडी की हुई है. वो स्टडी कहाँ है मुझे ज़ाहिर याद नहीं है कि I'm fucking old, लेकिन वो जो है, but it would be tantamount to, for instance, I sleep alhamdulillah on average I sleep like 6-7 hours, right?
Yeah.
So take me and then let me sleep only 4 hours.
Yeah.
For a month. Not a day, not a week, for a month. मेरी जो दिमागी कैफियत होगी, my cognitive faculties will simply decline.
Yes.
So ये भी एक बड़ी सोचने की बात है कि most of the people who are doing this, they want that 2-minute thing. They want to just read the headlines. They don't want anything. They want very, very concise information.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they're so under stressed, and they're so stressed, and we've internalized so much of this stuff. On a recent podcast, I was talking to a brilliant guest, mashallah, Sanida Khan, about this, and she was like, "Yeah," and we were like, "Yeah, dekho, we're encouraged to not speak about stuff that happens in Karachi." Sorry, this podcast isn't out yet. In Allah ke hukum se aa jayegi. Ari Jafrani ke sath main baat kar raha tha. So yeah, dekho, you know, in the sense, in the context of psychology or psychotherapy, you are encouraged to not talk about it. Like if I say Karachi mein bum phatte hain, people are like, whoa, hey, let's not talk about. What do you mean let's not talk about it? That happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
And we live with that. We live with that possibility. तो और उसको आप भुला नहीं सकते because your body remembers.
Yes.
So a large portion of our population don't have time to sit here and listen to me talk for an hour, or so they feel, because they're like, यार वो बात सुनो, किसी भी वक्त बम फट सकता है, किसी भी वक्त चोरी हो सकती है, मतलब like वो मालिक मकान आ सकता है, rent पे मेरा घर है, all these things, right?
Yeah. I think it also ties back into what I was hearing the podcast with you and Mohsin Ali Khan who was from Sydney, and you guys were talking about the fact that यहाँ के लोग कितने nice होते हैं, कितने ये होते हैं, like, but what he was saying was that take away all our social benefits, take away that social safety net, take away that the benefits that we've been provided by the government, and then see how our behavior changes. We will also be on the edge like people are in Pakistan. Like jitne phatte roads pe hote hain wahan pe, jitne phatte Ramzan mein roads pe hote hain wahan pe, when you need to be on a higher level of patience. I think it's because of the social environment that have been created around us. That's why people behave the way that they do.
That, yeah, and also you're very right, and also people are sick of this, and there's a huge disparity. जो इस बार बारिश नहीं है ना, जो बारिश में हाल हुआ है ना अपने कराची का, I was very upset, right? And I said this in multiple different social contexts on different forums. I was like, yeah, देखो, वाज़े सिर्फ इतनी सी बात हुई कि this is not a city. Karachi is not a city. Toronto is a city.
Yeah.
Lahore is a city. Hyderabad is a city. Karachi is fiefdoms. It's many different groups of people living in the same vicinity that hate each other, right?
Yes.
DHA drowns, and the thing you hear from the other side is, "Pehli baar inko bhi maza aaya. Pehli baar inne bhi maza
Literally, yeah.
Right? And the thing is, to some degree, that onus is on us.
Yes.
कि हम जब तक यहाँ नहीं पहुँचता, we're like कि हाँ यार कराची में हालात खराब हैं, we want all the glory.
I have we were from Gulistan and Johor, right? Middle Gulistan and Johor, and we used to go to a school in Clifton. ठीक है?
All
So
right.
we used to interact with like the quote unquote posh or the elite side of Defense Clifton and all those people.
Right. Yeah.
And literally, man, हम उनको बोलते थे हम लोग गुलिस्तान जौहर में रहते हैं, and they would ask us where that is.
Oh, airport ka rasta jata hai. Yeah,
That's
I've been there.
as like people. Not, I know you live in Defense as well right now, but I'm not trying to like shoot arrows at you. But there's literally a disparity between Clifton ke us bridge wale log and Clifton ke is bridge wale log.
Absolutely.
It's crazy
Absolutely
to me.
is.
It's crazy to me because I used to be interactive with both sides, right? हम लोगों ने क्रिकेट के लिए जौहर की सड़कों पे and हम लोगों ने स्कूल में पढ़ा है like मिनिस्टर के बच्चों के साथ.
कौन सी स्कूल में पढ़ते थे?
St. Michael's में थे हम लोग बोर्ड बेसिंग.
Oh wow, that's a good school, dude.
I don't mind that, man. St. Michael's, what's up?
Yeah.
Dr. Seema
It's
nahi
a
hai.
good school. Yeah.
SMC.
No, dude, it's a brilliant school. Dekho,
So, but
You're
that's what I'm saying.
absolutely
Like, you
right.
could see those
That
classes
level of
divides.
disparity
Yeah.
between everybody. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Dekho, a lot of that, we don't want to say it, but a lot of that simply has to do with जो economics में बोलते हैं PPP, purchasing power parity. It's all
Yes.
about the disparity, financial disparity, right?
Yes.
कुछ लोगों
sure.
के पास पैसा ज्यादा है, कुछ लोगों के पास कम है. And the problem comes when we stop acknowledging it.
Yeah.
जिस वक्त अब आप लोग मुझे बोल रहे हो and you guys have been so kind, अल्लाह ताला आप लोगों को उरूज दिखाए, कामयाब करें इंशाल्लाह.
Ameen.
आप लोग मुझे बोल रहे हो कि यार ये पॉडकास्ट जो है मतलब जो है ना मैं अच्छी कर रहा हूँ, right? And the minute I start going, yeah, it's been really hard. Dude, everyone's life is hard, right? But you must acknowledge your privilege. You can't
For
be
sure.
like, oh, it's as hard as the laborer making a house next to my house. यहाँ पे,
Yep.
मतलब, it's not as hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's different. It's different. और उसमें मसला ये है कि हम जो है ना सब we are वही hyper individualism वाला मसला है. We are all like कि नहीं यार लेकिन what about my feelings?
Yes. मेरी problems are also problems and take them into
ठीक है
account.
काजी भाई, ठीक है आपकी feelings बिल्कुल. But there is an objective standard, right? And we can't forget that. We can't forget that वही जो मैंने उसकी Maslow's hierarchy की बात की,
Yeah.
I still factor into the 99th percentile as far
Yes.
as
Top, you're the top
privilege.
1%. But according to Bernie
Exactly.
Sanders, you are the top. We are the top 1%.
Exactly, right? तो अब अगर मैं बैठ के बोलूंगा और ये इरफान भाई did I can't say enough good things about that guy. Like,
Yeah,
he's
shout
a
out to
beautiful-
Irfan Bhai, man. I love Irfan
Yeah.
Bhai. He's a
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
great human being,
really,
great person.
really is. Yeah, mashallah se. And like वही वाली बात है, when he reached a million, I sent him, I messaged him on Instagram. I was like, yeah, देखो, I honestly cannot find a better guy who this could have happened to.
For sure.
He's
100%.
like, Kazi bhai, it's just Allah ka karam hai. And sure enough, absolutely है. But in one of his videos, he recently said, he's like, yeah, देखो, I always used to say started from the bottom.
Yes.
Now we're here, right?
Yeah.
Where that analogy, there's nothing wrong with that analogy,
Shout out
right?
to
Why? Shout out to Drake, right? There's nothing wrong with that analogy because पहले vlog नहीं था, फिर मैं आया, फिर मैंने कैमरा खरीदी, and then I did start from the bottom, right?
Yeah.
But the larger ramifications of that sentiment are problematic, right?
Yeah.
Because did I really start from the bottom?
He obviously he acknowledges that he had the privileges that, let's say, someone way less than on the pay grade tax bracket does not have. And he acknowledges that, and we acknowledge that as well. The thing is, Karachi, ab mere hisab se, jitna I can see it from the outside because I haven't been back in a few years. There is a huge disparity between the Defense Clifton elite and everybody else. And
it's disgusting, dude. It's really huge. Yeah.
The most the only thing synonymous to that is what happened in Parasite. They came over and they took over the house. Okay? That's what I fear for Karachi sometimes. I'm like that movie reminded me so much of Karachi, and not in the good way. Okay, no. It upset me.
Yes. या देखो हम किसी को मार्क्सिस्ट बोलते हैं ना तो उनको गाली लगती है.
Yes.
Right? But a lot of the principles in Marxism revolve around exactly this.
Yeah.
Right? They're like the chosen few or the selected few will own a majority of the capital, and capital in the larger or more general sense. Yeah, ये बोल लो कि Karl Marx took liberty with capital, the word, to include factors of production, everything, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, जो working class होगी, eventually it's going to develop class consciousness, right? आखिर में what you need is a sense of unity. What you need is कि यार मेरे साइड में जो बंदा खड़ा हुआ है, I can rely on them ना, and क्योंकि उसकी और मेरी तकलीफ एक है. The minute they realize that, अल्लाह खैर करे यार, अल्लाह रहम करे, because the thing is कि जो opposite है, especially कराची में, पंजाब साइड पे इन जगहों पे बेहतर हुआ है अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, स्पेशली कराची में. Like VIP culture जिस चीज को बोलते हैं ना, proper VIP culture is in full effect.
It started from Karachi. It started from Karachi. I remember when I was in grade 10 जब वो शाहजेब का खान का केस हुआ था. I was in grade 10, man. And imagine me looking at that and being like, if someone runs me over or someone shoots me, it's my fault.
About it.
Yeah. That one was crazy for me because he was मेरे grade में था, right? So I'm and that was serious, dude. And the thing is कि it was also serious because I've been really bad in my youth, right? I was rowdy,
of course.
खड्डे ये वो, मतलब अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह किसी हाथापाई ऐसे नहीं हुई, लेकिन you know वो पिन तोड़ दी उसने और वो बैकिंग बुला ली उसने और और वो उस पे क्या था यार, माजे में बुला लो उसको, पिन तोड़ दी, right? And then also we would use the analogy of war so brazenly and so tactlessly. We, a country who does have live borders, and we do have an active military trying to defend those borders.
Yes.
हम बैठ के बोलते थे फिर यार तेरी मेरी जंग है. अबे ओए 15 साल का बच्चा है, तू छोड़ देना, मतलब.
But Kazi, that was a very proficient culture when we were growing up. Like, I think we grew up at a time where MQM, Urdu-speaking Pathan rivalry was at an Uruj. We're from an Urdu-speaking family, and we would see this in our news, in our culture, in our day-to-day talks. कि ये एक common desensitized topic हो गया था, right? क्योंकि हम जौहर में रहते थे. Johor was very close to Rabia City, those Pehlwangoat areas. तो शाम में पटाखों की आवाज आ रही है, no, that's not पटाखा, somebody probably got shot. Okay, cool.
Exactly, right? And that's the thing. You think you get, you think you get desensitized, but your body's smarter than that. So you never ever forget that this is dangerous, right? And so your sleep's never as good. No. You're never going to rest as well. You're never going to digest food as well. मतलब ये थोड़ी personal बातें मैं कर रहा हूँ. But मैं एक general बात कर रहा हूँ. So one of the first things that goes is your metabolism. The second thing that goes is your sleep, your rest. You're like, 1 minute, body's like 1 minute. Yeah, nahi, bhai. This is like, I could get
You're always shot, on fight regardless or flight, of how many.
Exactly, fucking exactly, right? Yeah. Or dekho yaar, as far as the MQM are concerned, they fucked up the city every way till Sunday. And but you have to remember where they came from.
Yes,
right.
That's what I keep saying. That's a very controversial opinion. अगर आप कभी आप Twitter पे हो? I wanted to ask that. Are you on Twitter?
I am.
Are you active on Twitter?
नहीं यार, मैं जो है वो जो extremist होते हैं ना, मैं जाता हूँ और वहाँ पे 2-3 tweets करता हूँ.
उनकी पिन तोड़ They're like माजे पे मिल.
They get angry. They're like उस पे KGS पे आ जाना. मैंने बोला KGS मेरे अच्छे नहीं जाते.
But like imagine tweeting that. Imagine saying, yes, MQM screwed up Karachi, but where they came from is also important to remember. People forget where MQM came from.
They do. And the problem again, उसमें भी यही है ना यार कि देखो, I cannot hijack the narrative of someone who actually suffered the militancy of MQM, right?
Yes.
Similarly, I cannot also hijack the narrative of someone who suffered the militancy of ANP or PPP, right? मसला सिर्फ ऐसा है कि जिन लोगों को तकलीफ पहुंची है ना, प्रायोरिटी उनकी है कि वो अपना दर्द बयान करें और अपनी तकलीफ को प्रोसेस करें.
Yes, they should be the ones telling the narrative.
Exactly, and we forget that. हम जो है us versus them में फिर से आ जाते हैं. हम बोलते हैं तू जाहिल है, और दूसरा आगे से जो है बंदा बोल रहा है कि भाई तुझे नहीं पता MQM ने क्या-क्या किया है. Again, these are ad hominem attacks, right?
Exactly.
We're not having a conversation. What we're saying is, I'm fucking right, and the other guy's like, no, dude, I'm fucking right. And I'm like, well, you know, I got this beard. I'm fucking. It's just
we live in a democracy, but we don't have the patience to like accept someone else's opinions.
Absolutely not. And masla ye hai कि again, this leftist hyper individualism bullshit.
Yeah.
उससे होता ये है कि भाई देखो बात सुनो, आगे वाला बंदा जो है उसने 3 PhD की हुई है,
Yeah.
ठीक है ना, 3 PhD की हुई है, और मैं जो हूँ एक बैचलर्स डिग्री के साथ उसके आगे बैठा हूँ, मैं उसको बोल रहा हूँ कि भाई जो जितना दम आपके ओपिनियन में है उतना ही दम मेरे ओपिनियन में। क्यों? हम दोनों इंसान हैं, राइट? हम दोनों इंसान हैं। इट्स जस्ट बुलशिट। हम दोनों इंसान है ना, हाँ इंसान है, हम दोनों के बुनियादी हकूक सेम है ना, हाँ भाई सेम है, तो बस मतलब उसका मतलब हमारे ओपिनियंस भी सेम है, दे होल्ड द सेम वेट। बंदा बोल रहा है मैंने 3 PhD किए भाई, एक भी नहीं 3, यू नो व्हाट आई मीन? तो I think we've become softer as a generation, and I think a large part of that has to do with again the clash between MQM, ANP, all of that. What that did to the political or the security landscape of Karachi, Sindh, Pakistan, and our parents who grew up in that or who came out of that, they were like, no, we have to protect our children to the max.
Yes.
You can't protect your children, you can love them.
Yes.
Right?
Well said.
हिफाजत तो अल्लाह रहम का, अल्लाह ताला के हाथ में है ना। तो
Kazi, do you think there ever will become because democracy is something that shows changes over times, over decades, right? Do you think we will ever come to a point where will I or my kids ever see Karachi as it used to be in the 60s, 70s, up until the 80s? Is that ever going to happen? Or there's going to be a homogenous culture?
नहीं bro, like you know, we can pray कि ऐसे तो अल्लाह ताला से तो पूरी दुआ मांगनी चाहिए, बिल्कुल हो जाएगा इंशाल्लाह. But from the pragmatist in me will tell you कि it might even become better, right? It'll be prettier, cleaner. But those 60s, 70s, it was unblemished by violence. Yeah. Not saying that partition didn't have violence, but this history of violence, it's in our blood. Yeah. It's going to be in your kids' bloods. Yeah. Right? Unless you work really, really hard to mitigate it. And by that, what I mean is you would marry someone from Canada and then your kids would never, ever see Pakistan again.
No. That's sad. I don't think that's going to, I don't think I'm capable of that because I need my kids to have that culture, that roots. And I think as yourself, we are proud to be from Karachi. Like, you know, like how youngsters say Karachi chal, like I am ready to go to Karachi anytime. That's my blood. Yes. That's my identity. Yes. And, it's refreshing to talk to you about this, Kazi bhai. Thank you very, very much for giving us your time. This was amazing. Dude. This was amazing. Time flew, man. It was an hour. It didn't pata bhi nahi chala.
And you have to promise us the next time you're in Toronto, we're going to do this again while sitting in the same room.
Inshallah, bro.
That's the same if you come to Karachi.
Yeah, soon. Inshallah, we're coming to Karachi soon, and hopefully we'll sit with you as well, and we'll have a better conversation. A better conversation, a bigger conversation. Always lovely to talk to you. One of the most intellectual people that I've heard.
A breath of fresh air.
Now I've talked to as well, Kazi bhai. We consider you one of our friends. Thank you for so much for your time, and inshallah we'll speak with you again very soon.
Yeah, देखो, I would just like to say at the end of this कि अल्लाह ताला आप लोगों को हमेशा अरूज दिखाएगा.
आमीन.
आप लोगों को कामयाब करेगा इंशाल्लाह. या इंशाल्लाह डरना नहीं है.
नहीं, घबराना नहीं है.
घबराना नहीं है.
डरना नहीं, डरना है.
And जो करना है वो करना है अल्लाह के हुक्म से. And I will be fine, dude. Inshallah, we'll be good. Allah ke hukum se.
Inshallah ta'ala, inshallah ta'ala.
And we'll do this again soon.
Stay safe, take care, and we'll talk to you very soon again, Kazi bhai.
Absolutely, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.